So it's very true. I have a twin sister. And what I did, some people might consider me to be one of the worst people on the planet. I deliberately planned to ruin her wedding, and when I get to the bottom of exactly why I did it, I'm hoping a lot of people viewing this will understand my side of the story. Anyways, here it goes. I was never under the impression that my twin sister cared about me or was my friend. But I never imagined she was capable of doing something like this. I can't believe that she stooped this low just to get back at me. So now I'm left wondering, what should I do? I thought you guys could help, so let me explain. You can call me Rose for the sake of the story. I'm 31, and I don't think it would be wrong to say that I have an evil twin sister, Ruby. 31. A few days ago, I discovered that Ruby's the reason why I've been struggling for the past 2 years. I can't truthfully say that I've not gotten better, because I have. But it's still been a rough 2-year patch, trying to forget the person I wanted to marry so bad. Okay, let me first tell you how it got to this point, right? Almost 3 years ago, I was doing very well in life. I was surrounded by my loved ones, I had a great job, and I was in a loving relationship. I was deeply in love with Max, and I really wanted to marry him. We'd already been in a relationship for a few years, so we both were ready. I was waiting for him to propose, then my twin sister moved back home after she got a better work opportunity nearby. As I already mentioned, Ruby and I have always had a rough relationship. We don't like each other much, which is considered weird for twins. As far as I'm told, twins are supposed to be a part of each other. So they're supposed to love each other a lot, right? But we were different. Me and Ruby never really liked each other, and I cannot even blame her. I didn't like her either, and never pushed to have a good relationship with her. I'm not saying I hated growing up with her, but we definitely did not act like sisters with each other. We're identical twins, so we've always looked similar, but our personalities could not have been more different. She's like the complete opposite of me. Maybe it was the fact that we were so different internally that we never really mixed, but I didn't care. Ruby's always been a bad person. Sharing a face with her felt like a punishment from God. She always did something stupid and sometimes blamed me. I can't count how many times I've gotten in trouble. That's why as soon as I could, I kept my hair different and even colored it in more different styles of clothing so that we could be easily distinguished. But it was not all bad, because after a certain time, Ruby slowed down and stopped caring about me enough to do something. After that, she actually moved out for work, and it felt like evil disappeared from my life. Obviously, we've always competed with each other, but Ruby rarely won. I was always better than her at most things, so the hate didn't really die down. Also, it didn't help that I got a better job, earned more money, and became more successful. I think the fact that my family keeps telling her to face how well I was doing made things worse. I remember when she first moved back, she was happy to see me, and I felt that our relationship was going to change. But in just a few days, she started acting how she's always been with me. I decided to just ignore her. A few months later, Max proposed in front of everybody, and I was shocked. I obviously said yes, and the whole family except for my parents celebrated. The only person who wasn't as happy as others was my twin sister. I'm not going to say she was jealous, but she didn't like the fact that I was going to get married, and that all the family members loved it and could not stop talking about it. The thing was that my parents didn't like Max very much. There wasn't any big reason behind it, so I can't tell you why. But they always kept asking me if I was sure, but they didn't try to stop me or anything like that. Now let me tell you what happened from my perspective alone. Everything was good. I was very busy preparing for the wedding, and I didn't even get to see my fiance that much, as he was very busy too. But things were great. I was happy. We threw an engagement party where Ruby and I got into an argument. It wasn't anything serious at first, she was just criticizing my choices, so I told her that her opinion didn't matter. We then argued back and forth, and she made me so angry that I ended up telling her that even though we looked alike, she was never going to be in my position. I was mean, I know, but she was doing the same thing. I told her that she would never be able to find a person like Max and be truly happy. Well, I think she felt humiliated, and she left the party. A few days later, I felt bad, and I did apologize to her, but she refused to forgive me. I chose to forget about it and focus on my wedding. 2 weeks before my wedding date, my sister forgave me and agreed to come to the wedding. But a week after that, something absolutely unbelievable happened. A week before the wedding, Max came to see me and said that he needed to tell me something. He told me that he had made a huge mistake. He had cheated on me. He said he didn't mean to do it and it just happened. He said that he could not get married without telling me about this, and after that, he said that he was ready to accept anything as a punishment. I couldn't believe it and had a really emotional reaction. I slapped him, hit him, and begged him to tell me none of this is true. But he couldn't, and all he could say was sorry. So I decided to cancel the wedding and break off the engagement. I didn't know what else to do. I returned the ring and told Max to never show me his face again. The only people happy with this decision were my parents, who kept saying they knew he wasn't right for me. After my hopes and dreams turned to dust, I couldn't even stay home. I was badly depressed and I didn't feel like doing anything. I almost got fired from my job. A month later, I decided to move out of the place I would get somewhere else. I couldn't stay there anymore, as every time I looked at anyone or anything, I thought about Max. I left home and moved out a bit far. I changed jobs and have been staying here ever since, and I go home rarely, and in the last 2 years I visited about 3 times. It's been 2 years now. 2 years since everything happened, and I was finally starting to feel a bit happy about my life, but guess who I ran into a few days ago? Max, my ex-fiance. On my day off, while I was out shopping, I ran into him, who looked almost the same as he used to. For my own sake, I decided not to approach him, but he saw me and asked me for 5 minutes. We sat down for a cup of joe. He asked me how I was doing, and I didn't tell him much, just that I moved away and was happy here alone. He told me he did the same, but a bit further away. I asked him, why was he not dating anyone? And he looked down and said that he had not been able to forget someone. I told him that I had assumed that he would be dating the person he cheated on me with, and this shocked him, and he asked me how my relationship with my family was. I told him the truth, that I barely visit and rarely speak with Ruby, and at that point he looked surprised and told me that I still didn't know, do I? I asked him what he's talking about, and he tells me that there was something that he had not mentioned 2 years ago. The day he cheated on me, he was at a party with his friends and he got very drunk. Then he met me and slept with me, only to realize it was Ruby later on. She tricked him, but he knew that was not enough of an excuse for what he did. He blamed himself for being too careless and was scared of telling me that he not only cheated but also did it with my sister. He only told me he cheated and waited to tell me later on, but he did not get the chance. He then believed that my sister was going to tell me anyways, and I was surprised to learn about all this, that I could not even say anything else to him. He kept saying he was sorry and told him it was okay and took my leave. Since then, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this at all. I don't understand why Ruby did this to me. Why did she ruin my marriage like that? After doing all this, she actually is in a very stable, happy relationship with a good-looking guy, so I've been thinking if it's only right to pay her back. Guys, am I wrong for wanting to get revenge? Update number 1. Hey, everyone, it's been about a month and I've tried to take your advice. I tried to be the bigger woman, but it seemed like life did not want me to. And what could I do when I was presented with such an opportunity other than jump on it and make sure that my sister was not going to be happy again? You know, I'm really not lying. After my post, I read every comment and the majority of you wanted me to just move on. You all wanted me to tell everyone what happened as revenge, but did not want me to do anything else. I was left in a pickle. To be fully frank, I was still dealing with the fact that my own twin sister did this to me. I barely believed it now after all this time. I kept putting myself in her position, but no matter what my sister would have done to me, I could never have done something like that. No matter how much I hate my own sister, or anyone else for that matter, I will never be able to stoop that low. Having said that, the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to take revenge. But after reading a lot of comments, you guys managed to convince me to rise above the hate. I decided not to do anything in retaliation, believing I was better than her, and started thinking that in a while I was going to just expose her for what she did to me. After a while, I was happy with my choice and doing good. But then about a week ago, I received news that made me change my mind. One of my cousins called me and told me to check my sister's story ASAP. Well, I asked her why, and she tells me just do it. Well, guess what the story was? It was my sister's hand, and on the other was a ring. There was an expensive-looking ring. I was shocked, as the timing could not have been worse because it made me think about everything that she did. How was it fair that she destroyed my wedding but was now going to be happily married? You tell me, doesn't it feel like I was meant to find out about what she did right before she got engaged? I think it's fate, and I've had to make a choice to let everything just go or to decide to do something about it. So I made a decision. I called Ruby and congratulated her and her fiancé Justin. Then I spoke to my mother and told her that I was coming home in a month for Ruby's wedding and to help with the prep. She was very happy, and even Ruby was excited. She told me that she could not wait for me to get here. Well, she's going to be eating her words soon. So currently, I've applied for a leave and I'm going home for about 2 months or more, and I can work from home, so it's not much of a problem at work, and I don't even think it's going to take me that long to do what I'm planning to do. I can't believe she got engaged right as I was deciding to let things go. I cannot call this anything else than a sign to retaliate. I hope you guys are not disappointed with my decision, but I really don't care even if you are. I think that she deserves this. Update number 2. Hey, it's been a little more than a week and things are going smoothly. I don't have an exact plan yet, but I've been doing something. Let me just tell you what's happening. A week after my last update, I went back home right in time to attend Ruby's engagement party. Everybody was very happy for her, and all I could think about was how she could do this to me after seeing all that. I was happy for her and almost forgot why I was there. I met Ruby and her soon-to-be husband and congratulated the two. Ruby looked at me and tried to see if she felt a hint of guilt about everything. She didn't. Honestly, I was stupid to expect that a person who could do something like this could feel any sort of guilt. Honestly, even if she felt guilt, it was not like I was going to let her go. After she spoke to everybody, Ruby came to talk to me. She hugged me and told me how happy she was to have me here. I told her how couldn't I not miss it after everything she had done for me. For a second, she stopped, and I told her that she had supported me a lot after my engagement broke. She then smiled and said that she had even forgotten about it. I told her that I was never, ever going to forget what happened. Her reaction once again changed until I told her that I was never going to forgive Max for what he did. She said that I never should forgive a cheater. Well, she looked a bit worried, and I apologized for bringing the sad past up. I told her nothing like that was going to happen. She smiled again and told me that obviously nothing like that's going to happen. Her fiancé is perfect. I told her that he was very good looking. Then some relatives swarmed her and started talking to her. At this point, I had no plan. All I wanted to do was make her a bit nervous. I wanted Ruby to be worried if I knew the truth or not, and obviously I didn't want her to be so suspicious of me, so I kept myself in check. Then I spoke to her fiancé Justin, and since we had not met many times, he was happy to connect with me. I asked him if he thought it was weird that he was marrying a twin. He joked with me that he was getting more than one deal, and we both laughed. I then acted a bit too friendly with Justin right as Ruby was looking at me, and I could see her get mad and then worried. It was very funny. She really had no idea what was going on. After the party, she didn't really say anything to me, but made sure that I didn't speak to Justin much. It's been a few days since then, and I've been helping Ruby prepare for the wedding. Well, I'm actually planning on what I should do to get back at her, but also helping plan the wedding. I want to stop, but making her feel jealous and scared, I don't know. It feels really good. Update number 3. Hey, everybody. It's been exactly 2 long weeks, and I have a plan. I've actually already made some progress, but before we even hop into that, I need to tell you about something funny that happened. So, I was doing some shopping, and I learned that Justin was in the same area. At this point, I was thinking about doing anything. I wasn't, and actually just wanted to learn more about him. I just wanted to see what type of person he was, and then I ran into him. Oopsie. And we ended up having a little snack for lunch. He insisted on dropping me home. My surveillance was done, and all I found out was that Justin was a great guy who did not deserve someone like Ruby. Then the funniest thing happened. He dropped me home, and since he had been so kind, I asked him to come in for a cup of coffee. There was nobody home, so we spoke for a while, and then he left. The next day, Ruby found out and was so mad. She was convinced that I was trying to seduce her fiancé and that I knew the truth. In her mind, it looked like I was doing all this to destroy her engagement just like she destroyed mine. So, firstly, she argued with her fiancé about this and came to confront me. Justin told her that he was just spending some quality time with her sister, which he felt was not a bad thing. Plus, he told her that I was just being kind and not trying anything like she was suggesting. Well, he couldn't believe that she was acting like he had cheated on her. She then came straight to me and started cursing at me before I even opened up the door. As soon as I let her in, she starts screaming at me, saying she figured it out and I chose to play dumb because I really had not tried anything. She said she knew what I was doing, and I asked her, well, what is it? Tell me. She tells me that I want revenge, and I asked her why would I want to do something like that. I asked her if she was sick or something and just pretended to find it weird. She could not believe what was going on and started thinking that I, with a very genuinely worried expression, asked her what's going on. I asked her why she thought I wanted to destroy her engagement. As soon as I said that, she changed her mind and tells me that she was just jealous, for no reason. She immediately makes up a story about how she was always thinking of herself as less than me. She's always been less successful than me at everything. So when she found a great guy, she was scared I would just take him. I pretended to be both sad and angry at the story. I told her I would never do something like that. I explained to her that as a person who got cheated on myself, I could never do that to someone else. Obviously, making my own twin sister sad was another thing I was never going to do. I then told her that I wasn't happy that she fully believed I wanted to take her man. She apologized and even treated me to lunch. But little did she know that meeting her fiance and her gave me the idea about what should I do. So when I spoke to her fiance, he told me about how he and Ruby ran into her ex-boyfriend a few months back. And then during lunch, Ruby told me how Justin was also a very jealous guy who did not like her keeping contact with anyone, especially her precious boyfriends. This gave me the idea to do something really good, and I think it's going to work. Well, there was only one ex-boyfriend of Ruby that I knew about, and he was the perfect one. They dated for 2 years, so there's a lot of history, and from what I hear, they don't really end up ending it well. So I contacted her ex-boyfriend Leo and met him. Turns out I was right. Oh, he hated her. She cheated on him, of course, and when I told him what she did to me, he agreed to help. I'm not going to tell you about the plan right now, so I don't jinx it. You know? Update number 4. It's been exactly 2 weeks and a lot has happened. I'm sure you're curious just to know what my plan was and did it work or not. Well, let me continue where I left off on the cliffhanger. I think there's one more person I have not told you about, and I need to. Belle. Belle's my childhood best friend who was helping Ruby with the preparations too. Now, Belle is a very good friend of mine. She's almost like a sister. But after my broken engagement, I've not stayed in contact very much. A few days after my last update, she came back home and we met. In just about a day, we reconnected and became as good friends as we were back then. I knew I could trust her, and there was something that I needed help with. Well, I decided to tell her everything. Guys, I sat her down and told her what was actually going on. She could not believe it at first. Belle then asked me if I was sure I wanted to do all this. I told her that she deserved this and asked her how she felt. She agreed to help me with whatever I wanted as long as I was sure about it, so as soon as she agreed, I was sure that we could pull it off. I then spent a week trying to find the best way to execute our plan. I needed a day when Justin was out and was far enough to not rush straight home, but it also didn't have to be far enough for us to not make it in time. The best day came when Ruby was doing her test makeup and other fittings at home. While she was there, she was not going to be moving much or checking her phone, so that was the best day. The day before, I told everyone that I was going to travel to another city to visit a friend, and I pretended to leave. I needed a concrete alibi. Well, yesterday, Ruby kept her phone aside to start, and right then Belle swiped the phone and gave it to me. I took it, and with Leo's help, reached the place where Justin was having a meeting. We made it just in time after he finished. As he was getting out, he saw his fiance, in reality me, and her ex Leo holding hands and talking. I was dressed like Ruby, and acting like her too. I even had a wig to make my hair look like hers, and he then called to make sure it was her, and I cut in such a way that he had to see it. He called again, and I cut again, and then I kissed Leo deeply and went in his car with him. Yes, this was my master plan. Making Justin believe that Ruby was cheating on him with her ex. I knew that Justin would not immediately come to our house because for him, Ruby was with Leo. I then rushed home and gave the photo to Belle, who put it back. The funny thing was, except for Belle and me, nobody knew that she was doing this fitting check. All the makeup people were paid ones who had obviously lied to Belle. After that, I pretended to come back after visiting my friends. I even uploaded a picture with her just for proof. Then all I had to do was wait. A few hours later, Justin came back home and started accusing Ruby. She could not believe what was going on, and she got mad at him for saying that she cheated. But he had a picture of her kissing Leo, and Ruby immediately looked at me. Justin said he was done and this marriage was done. And Ruby started screaming it wasn't her. She told everyone that it was me who was pretending to be her. I acted shocked and told her I had no idea what she's talking about. She said it had to be me because it wasn't her. Justin told her that he could track her phone and he knew the truth. Ruby just kept begging, but nobody believed her. Everybody just said, why would I do that? I literally had no reason to. Obviously, she couldn't tell anyone the real reason. Then Justin asked her to give him the ring back and told her he didn't want to see her face and left. Ruby was left crying, trying to convince our family members that she didn't do anything. I'm writing this early morning, and I have not faced Ruby yet, but I'm sure by now that she knows that I know the truth. So I believe that she's going to try to talk to me, and I'm excited to see how this goes. Final updates. It's been a few weeks. Only about a few hours after I finished writing this last update, Ruby confronted me and begged me to help. She tells me that she's sure I knew everything and apologized for what she did. She said that she was jealous and felt humiliated and just wanted me to experience something like that. She said that she went overboard and spent the last 2 years regretting and hoping that I never find out. I still acted dumb and she was furious, but she controlled herself and told me that she would do anything for me to tell Justin the truth. I then told her if she told all of our family members what she did, and I was going to tell Justin what I did. Justin didn't even have to know, just our family members. She immediately accepted it and told me that Justin was the most important thing to her. She apologized again, and I told her I don't want your apology. That evening, she gathered all our family members and told them what she had done 2 years ago. But that's not it. I was standing with the family too when I started acting like I had no idea she did this. I immediately get angry and asked her how she could have done it. She was surprised and she tells me that I knew. I told her, well, that if I did, I would have cut her off. She then understood what I was trying to do, and she tells me that I could not do this after she held up the part of her bargain. And I told her that I didn't want to see her face again. The whole family was angry, including our parents, who could not believe what she did. She got kicked to the curb by the family and cut off from everyone. Obviously, Justin didn't want to forgive her either, and the marriage is officially canceled. But hey, before we start dragging out the promises that she got me, I guess I have to look forward to that in the comment section. Anyways, I'm now home, and I'm very, very happy.